Okay, we just saw for loops, and I want to show you do while loops because they have a use as well. I'm going to quickly create my new project, put you on hold, and then I will come back. Okay, I've created a new project called do while. Put this video on pause if you would like to follow along and type it out as we go. Always a good idea, or just do it at the end, but make sure that you actually try to do something like this. A do while loop is a bit different than a while loop. So with the while loop, we saw that the condition was right at the beginning of the loop. With the do while loop, this is how it's structured. The word do, curly brace, and then there's a while loop, and at the end of the do loop, at the end of the curly brace, we put the word while. And inside of, next to the while loop, we put a condition. So I'm going to say while count is less than or equal to 10. Count's red because it hasn't been declared yet. But you also have to put a semicolon at the end there. So this loop has a different format than a while loop, in different format than a for loop. In fact, the difference is it doesn't check the condition until the end of the loop, which is unique. And sometimes you want to do that. I know if you probably remember, we've made some programs where it's a while loop, and it should, let's say we're getting user input. We start a while loop before we get any user input, and we want to continue to do the while loop, while the user input is in a certain range. And that poses a problem because the user hasn't typed out their input yet. So a do while loop is very well suited for a loop where it checks user input, because it's guaranteed to go into the loop and execute once before checking the condition. So I'm going to do int count equals 0. And if we want to just count from 0 to 10, we can do, well, system.out.println. I'll just do print and count, and then I'll do this trick where you put a space next to it. That way everything's printed on the same line. Now I have to put this next line, otherwise it'll be an infinite loop. We want to increase the value of count, so count plus plus. And when we run our program, in our output we should see the values 0 to 10, including 10. 0 to 10. Let's quickly change this to include a scanner object. So import java.util.scanner, and I want to see what happens with some user input here. So this is a really good use of a do while loop. I'm going to make scanner key yb equals new scanner system.in, and then we're going to say enter number, and it's only a print statement. Then we're going to have our scanner object, so scanner key yb.next int, an integer. So we're going to enter an integer. So we're going to get an integer from the user. We're going to store it, but you're going to see why the do while loop is beneficial in this case. So we'll be storing that in a new variable called str. So I'm going to make a new string up here called str. There's an error. Required type string provided int. Yeah, why would I do that? It's supposed to be an integer. Int num, right? There, that's better. So now we're getting a value from the user that's an integer, storing it in the variable num, and we'll say while num is less than or equal to, let's say while it's not equal to -1. So it'll keep looping as long as the user types in a value that's not -1. As you can see, the do while loop, because of the way it's structured, it doesn't check to see what the value of num is until the end of the loop. So we can run it, and it asks the user, once it's done, enter an integer. I can keep typing in integers all day long, and then finally, when I type in -1, it stops. But notice that it didn't ask me to, because remember before when we had while loops, we had to do something like this. We had to do num equals 0 just to get into the loop, but we don't have to do that anymore. All right, so those are That's the do while loop, and you'll find it to be beneficial in some very specific circumstances. You can get away without using it, and you can get away with never using a do while loop, but it's required for you to know it for this course, and it will come in advantageous in some situations.